Yo, what's up, Nine Moons fam? This is Cheese Shoes coming at you with another video game review. Tonight I'll be reviewing Terminator 2D No Fate. If you're like me and you love classic, pixelated 90s action side-scrollers, then Terminator 2D No Fates may just be a perfect fit. From start to finish, I found myself grinning, leaning forward in my seat, and just enjoying the ride. Let's start with the obvious starting point, and that would be, of course, the story mode. This game is very true to the movie. If you've seen the Terminator movies and are a fan, then you're definitely going to love playing through the story and all the classic iconic scenes from the movies. You can really tell the team over at Bitmap Bureau had love for the Terminator movies as well. They really showed it with the game, so that's always a good starting point. Always a good thing to see with games based on movies or TV shows, so props to them for sure. Moving on to some of the other many positives that I have with this title. One of my favorite things is the look and just overall design of the game. I grew up on classic games back in the day on Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, so lots of pixelated side-scrolling games for old cheese, and Terminator 2D just takes that retro look and turns it up to 11. From the level design to the looks of the unique enemies for each of the levels, Bit Bureau did a wonderful job with the design overall for sure. You get the true authentic retro vibe while smashing your way through wonderful chaotic levels. Hand in hand with the looks though comes the music. I consider that part of the design here as well, and they blew me away with the soundtrack on this game, honestly. I went into expecting, some 8-bit, 16-bit rock music, metal instrumentals, but even still I found myself just standing still on the middle of the level, jamming out to the music, just letting my timer die down because I just want to listen to the music a little bit more. So yeah, definitely knocked it out of the park in the music category as well. Another one of the positives for me is definitely going to be just the gameplay. Simplistic, definitely rewarding. The controls and the mechanics of the game are just top notch for the side-scrolling experience. It has your standard run and gun setup, basic movement, crouching under large projectiles shot at you from Terminator units, jumping, holding on to one of the triggers so that you stand still and can aim diagonally. Standard stuff, typical, but they took something that's been done dozens of times before and somehow made it feel fresh, which I really appreciated here. As I mentioned before, you got the varying enemies from level to level, but one nice little touch is the difference in durability of the enemies as well. In the Sarah Connor levels, for instance, a lot of her enemies are some unfortunate humans between our protagonist and saving the world, so you gotta take them out, but the human enemies only take a few bullets to drop, and while it's simple and they drop quickly, it definitely makes you feel more badass running around as Sarah. However, in levels where you're playing as John Connor in the future, fighting Terminator units, it takes more than a few bullets to take those guys down for sure. But that simply adds to the fun, because I don't think it would be very fun to drop a Terminator if I shot it like 1 or 2 times. You wouldn't really feel the oomph to that. So the varying toughness is definitely something that gets them a good grade in my book as well. With the varying toughness, just simply adds to the fun because you get to use your other mechanics that they added, such as rolling, taking cover in some levels, or the classic jumping to dodge incoming enemy attacks. Another interesting touch is that each of the characters you end up playing have their own level types and control schemes, which I thought was really fun. Like I said, game's very refreshing, so whether it's the running and gunning levels of the Connors, the singular stealth mission, or throwing hands as Naked Arnold in the bar level, this game definitely has it all. And every level, hits the mark and has its own little charm, so that's definitely a positive as well. Moving on to my favorite part of this game, honestly, is all of the content. The story mode has multiple different paths that you can take to change the story. Levels change based on these paths, and the characters you get to play as for those remaining levels change from the path as well. These options unlock after beating the story mode for the first time, so the first playthrough you can't really divulge too much from the main story of the movie, but on the replayability you can change it up, so that's definitely a nice touch. And while the different paths aren't super different from the main story, it is still a very nice touch and different enough to warrant another playthrough, maybe 2 or 3 more. So you have multiple different modes other than the story as well that are great modes to touch on. You got the boss rush mode, which just a boss gauntlet, standard typical stuff, but well done with this game for sure. You have the arcade mode with the survival based infinite mode, and the Mother of the Future mode, which is one of my favorites there. All these modes offer different tastes of gameplay from the story, varying challenges, varying speeds on those. The final little bit thing of content to note on here is for the speedrun enthusiasts specifically. That's the level training mode. The entire game itself feels like a speedrunner's dream, with the time remaining being a big part of the scoring that you get for each level. One of the levels giving you a little bit of trouble. Can't get the E rank because you keep dying to the same Terminator every time you replay the level. Don't worry about it. Just head into the training mode and you'll learn the ins and outs of the levels and clutch for that perfect S rank run. Now, to the hard part. As much as I love Terminator 2D No Fate, the game is definitely not without its faults. The number one downside I feel is the length of the game. I know that's a big turnoff for a lot of people, but give me a moment to explain because it's not too bad. But there's a good selection of levels for the different modes, but this, it's still a title that you can most likely clear in a day or two, at least for the main content. The story mode on average seems to take about an hour to an hour and a half to complete. You have that, but the other modes definitely make up for that time constraint. But if you're looking for a game with a long story, this one may not be for you, but I do say you give it a chance because I think there is a hidden amount of content in this game. Another small gripe I have with the game is that the platform movement can feel a little less than reliable sometimes. This may just be me nitpicking, but to explain what I'm referring to, there is a certain point in levels where you have to either hold up or hold down and press jump to move from one level to the next, or during certain platforming sections you jump up and grab onto things for the platforming. Sometimes when I was doing this I found myself either just not getting the command or not getting the animation. Sometimes I'd even find myself sliding or rolling off of a ledge, to my death or into an enemy, trying to make the transition itself. And while it is a smaller thing, it definitely caused a little bit of frustration for me, especially when I was going for my speedy playthrough on the story and trying to get the S rank on every level. It definitely hurt when I got punished for that little issue there with the platforms. On that note, the last thing I wanted to bring up is that if you do die on a level, you are automatically given an E rank for that level. It didn't matter, when in the level you die, how quick or efficient you are on your continue, or if you died to the misinput mentioned before, which is you're trying to drop down to another platform but accidentally roll into some lava. For a game that's as unforgiving as this is in regards to taking damage and how quick you can die in this game, it would be nice to at least have a chance to get maybe a B, C, or even a D rank, on a level after using a continue. But no, if you die in this game, instant E rank for that level no matter how well you do afterwards. And I could just see that being a little bit of a turnoff for some gamers. So I just felt, it's definitely something to point out in a review. But all in all, I'd say that Terminator 2D No Fate is a fantastic title for any retro action game fans or, people looking to try the retro experience. While the game does have its few flaws mentioned before, I feel the content and replayability of this game is just very good, and most importantly, very fun. With the price tag of $29.99 on Steam, which is where I played it, it could be a bit steep for the amount of content for some gamers, but personally, I think that with the replayability and the challenge and all of the different modes, the game to me definitely felt worth the price tag. Normally here at 9 Moons we have a panel of sorts for reviews, especially for multiplayer games, but since this is a single player game, I fear it is left up to yours truly. I, Cheese Shoes, the official 9 Moons goon, give Terminator 2D No Fate a very solid 7.5 out of 9 moons. From the first moment I booted this game up, I had an absolute blast, and while there was some frustrating bits here and there, I feel the game is worth every cent, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Anyways, that's it for this review. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.